Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today I'm doing a Red Dragon Archfiend deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because we just got an amazing new structure deck, the Crimson King, that gave us all sorts of awesome Red Dragon Archfiend support, taking this deck to a whole new level. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Soul Resonator. Soul Resonator is an amazing 3-up in the deck that is such a good starter. It has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a level 4 lower fiend monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is a great effect to be able to search out your copies of Bone Archfiend off this card's ability. We then play 3 copies of Crimson Resonator. Crimson Resonator is a definite 3-up in this build because this card is still insane, because if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if the only other monster that you control is exactly 1 Dark Dragon Synchro monster, you can special summon up to 2 more Resonator monsters from your hand or deck, except another copy of this card, which is a great ability to be able to use with your copy of Red Rising Dragon, so that you can step into some crazy powerful plays. This card is super easy to get in your graveyard by using Bone Archfiend's ability to level manipulate itself, which is so cool about this card. We then play 2 copies of Vision Resonator. I feel like 2 is all you really need in this particular build because you can get to it so easy in this deck, but it has the ability, if you have a level 5 or higher dark monster on the field, then you can special summon this card from your hand, and if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a spell or trap card that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend from your deck to your hand, which is an amazing effect to be able to search out your copies of Crimson Gaia. We then play 2 copies of Synchron Resonator. This card is an awesome extender because it's a level 1 to help us go in for Abyss, and it's also a level 1 to be able to go in for a bunch of other Synchro plays. It has a really cool ability that if a Synchro monster is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if it's sent to the graveyard from the field, you can target a Resonator monster in the graveyard and add it to your hand, except a copy of itself, which is a great ability to get back your copies of Soul Resonator. We then play 3 copies of Bone Archfiend. Bone Archfiend is a crazy powerful 3-up in this deck that I'm so glad that we finally have like an amazing crazy level 4 for this deck that can actually special summon itself out. This card literally does everything and is the best target to be able to grab off of Soul Resonator now, because it has the ability, if this card is in your hand or grave, you can send one other card from your hand or field to the grave to special summon this card from your hand, which is such a cool ability just to instantly get this card on your side of the field. It also has the ability that you can target a face-up monster that you control that has a level and send a Fiend Tuner from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, increase or decrease that monster's level by 1, which you're always going to decrease the level of your copy of Soul Resonator or Bone Archfiend by 1, so you can go in for Red Rising Dragon using those 2 monsters. We then play a single copy of Awalt. Awalt is good as a 1-of in this deck, just to extend your plays because it is a tuner monster and it's such a powerful card in this deck. And I really feel like you just need a single copy of this card as an extender, but it's an amazing card because if this card is in your hand, you can target a Synchro monster that you control or in your grave and banish it, and if you do, special summon this card, which is a great effect to be able to use just to instantly get this card on your side of the field. And if this card's in the graveyard, you can target a Synchro monster that you control or in your grave, banish it, and if you do, add this card to your hand, letting you get this card back over and over again, which is such a cool ability. We then play 3 copies of the Bysteel Lubellion. We do play some Bysteels in this deck, and this card is amazing because it has the ability that if this card is in your hand or your grave, you can tribute a level 6 or higher Dark Dragon monster to special summon this card out to your side of the field. It also can send this card from your hand to the graveyard to add a Bysteel monster from your deck to your hand, and the crazy ability is during your main phase, you can actually place a branded continuous spell or trap from your deck face up on the field, which is a great ability to be able to get to your copies of Branded Intrude or Branded Beast. And you can even use Branded Intrude in this build to be able to go in for your copy of King Calamity during your opponent's turn, which is insane. We then play a single copy of Saunir. Saunir is really good to be able to use in the deck to combo with your copy of Lubellion, because this card has the ability, if it's sent to the graveyard, you get to send a Bysteel monster or a branded spell or trap from your deck to the grave. So you can basically get to your copies of Intrude and Beast at the same time, which is just really, really cool. We then play a single copy of Magnemite. Magnemite's great in this build as well as in one of, because during the end phase you can search a dragon from your deck to your hand, which is a great ability. We then play a single copy of Druis Worm. Druis Worm is great for spot removing cards off the field, which is just such a powerful effect. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom to round out the monsters. Ash Blossom is just an amazing hand trap overall at stopping your opponent from touching the deck. This card is an amazing card overall in this build. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start off with a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is a definite one-of in the deck, basically just to stop your opponent from hand-trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We then play a single copy of Absolute Power Force. Absolute Power Force is absolutely amazing. This card is actually the name of a pack that Red Dragon Archfiend's form was actually on, which is super cool. This card has the ability that you actually target a Red Dragon Archfiend that you control, and if that monster that you control battles an opponent's monster this turn, apply these effects until the end of the damage step. It gains 1,000 attack points. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects. If it attacks, it does piercing damage, and any battle damage your opponent takes is doubled, essentially turning it into a Blue Eyes Chaos Max, which is insane. This card is such a powerful one-of in the deck, but you only need a single copy of it because it is searchable in this build, but it basically turns your copy of Red Dragon Archfiend into Blue Eyes Chaos Max, which is insane. We then play 3 copies of Resonator Call. I did say all the Resonators were really easy to search, and this is actually how. Resonator Call is how you search out all your Resonators, and the crazy thing is, this is actually not a once per turn. You can activate multiple copies of this in a turn, which is such a cool ability about this card, and it helps out so much in this deck. We then play 3 copies of Crimson Gaia. Crimson Gaia is one of the most powerful cards that we got out of the structure deck because it has the ability that during your main phase, you can add Red Dragon Archfiend or one card that mentions it from your deck or grave to your hand, except Crimson Gaia. This card basically is a 1.5 card combo that can be it plus any other card in your hand to go full combo, which is amazing. Your copy of Soul Resonator is also a 1.5 card combo that you can have it and any card in your hand to be able to use as a 1.5 card combo, because this card searches out your copy of Soul Resonator because it does mention Red Dragon Archfiend, which is so cool. I love that about this card, and it's such a powerful 3-of in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is really good in the deck because you don't really need everything in the extra deck. So this card just helps you out a lot in this particular build to be able to get to the exact card that you need, while also getting rid of some cards that you don't really need in your extra deck. And this card just is amazing because you can basically get to your copies of your Crimson Gaia, Soul Resonator, any of those cards, even your copy of Resonator Call is amazing in this particular build to be able to use. I really like Pot of Prosperity in this build because it's such a powerful card. If you guys would like a more budget option though, you can play cards like Small World, which is another option that you can play in here, but you're just basically looking for a way that you can get directly to your copy of Soul Resonator as quickly as possible. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start off with a single copy of Red Zone. Red Zone is a great one-of in the deck, but it is searchable, which is why we just play a single copy in this build. As ability that when your opponent activates a card effect while you control Red Dragon Archfiend or a Synchro monster that mentions it, you can target one card on the field and destroy it, which is a crazy powerful effect. It also has the ability that you can target one of your banished Dark Dragon Synchro monsters and special summon it once per turn, and you can use each of those effects once per turn, which is so cool. We then play a single copy of Intrude of the Branded. This card is really good in the deck because it helps you go for your copy of King Calamity during your opponent's turn, because during either player's turn, you can immediately effect resolves, synchro summon a synchro monster using monsters that you control as material, including a dragon monster, which is easy to do in this deck because you're going to be using Red Dragon Dragon Archfiend and your other cards to be able to make King Calamity, which is crazy powerful. It also has a really cool ability built into this card that while you control a Bestial monster, banish any monster that would be sent to their opponent's graveyard as a tribute for a ritual summon or as material for their fusion, synchro, or link summons, which is really interesting about this card to be able to deal with all those different card effects and basically getting rid of those cards out of the grave. We then play a single copy of Branded Beast. This card is great in the deck as one of because it is a pop, which is really good if you control a Bestial monster, which is really cool about this card. It also has the ability that during the end phase, you can actually target a branded continuous spell or trap in your grave and place it face up on the field. The really neat thing about this deck is you can actually use your copy of Lubellium to put this card on your side of the field, and then use Saunier to be able to send Intrude to the graveyard, and then basically get both of them because your copy of Beast will put your copy of Intrude back on your side of the field during the end phase, which is really cool. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is a definite 3-of in the deck just to stop your opponent's monster effects while you're going in for all of your plays. This card is extremely helpful in the deck and is a really good 3-of. You can also basically just set this card to your side of the field to lock down entire columns of spells and traps, which is really nice. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with a single copy of Scarred Dragon Archfiend. This card is an amazing new card that we got out of the Crimson King structure deck. This card actually summons out the original Red Dragon Archfiend, which is so cool. It also has the ability that this card's name becomes Red Dragon Archfiend while on the field or in the grave, and if this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, you can actually special summon Red Dragon Archfiend from your extra deck, and it's treated as a synchro summon. Then, if this card was sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, which it usually will, for a Dark Dragon synchro monster, which it always will, you can destroy all attack situation monsters that your opponent controls, essentially being a board wipe, which is crazy powerful. This card is really good in the deck, and I'm glad that we finally have a way to play the original Red Dragon Archfiend. Speaking of the original Red Dragon Archfiend, we're playing a single copy of Red Dragon Archfiend. And we do have the original print one, which is crazy cool. I love this card. It's such a cool classic boss monster, and definitely give us a like for that, guys. But this card is an amazing one-of in the deck that just is really cool to be able to use as a combo piece in this build. We then play 3 copies of Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising Dragon is a combo piece in the deck that you're all going to be going into first out of all the cards in your extra deck. And this card is amazing because when this card is synchro summoned, you can target a Resonator monster in your graveyard and special summon it, which is going to help you get your copy of Crimson Resonator back to your side of the field, so you can use its ability to get you 2 more Resonators on your side of the field, and then just synchro climb into all sorts of crazy powerful cards. This card is a definite 3-of in the deck. We then play a single copy of the Blade Dragon. This card is a neat 1-of in the deck that helps you go in for some really cool plays. It is a level 7, which is really cool about this card. So it can go in for this card if you go in for some awkward levels, because usually we're just climbing in basically 6, 8, 10, 12. But this card is really good in the deck because if this card is synchro summon, you can target on the field and destroy it. And if this card on the field is destroyed, you can target one face-up monster on the field. That monster cannot attack until the end of your opponent's turn, which is a pretty cool ability. We then play a single copy of Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend. Scarlight is actually my favorite of all the Red Dragon Archfiend forms, and definitely comment down below which one your favorite Red Dragon Archfiend is. My favorite is Scarlight because I have this card in every rarity ever created, and it's just such a cool card. It's a board wipe. It counts as Red Dragon Archfiend while it's on the field or in the grave, and it's just a really good card because it also is a time card because you can use it for burn damage, which is amazing. We then play a single copy of Void Ogre Dragon. This card is really good in the deck because usually you're using every single card in your hand to basically make an entire field of Red Dragon Archfiends. And this card is amazing because if you don't have any cards in your hand, you can once per turn negate a spell or trap card, which is such a good effect about this card. We then play 2 copies of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. This card is really good in the deck as a 2-of because during either player's turn, you can target a face-up card that your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of the turn, which is such a good ability about this card. We then play a single copy of Baron de Fleur. This card is just too good not to play in the deck. It's one of the only cards cards. It's actually the only non-dragon we're playing in the deck, but this card is really good because it is a negate and it pops cards off the field. We then play a single copy of Bane. Bane is amazing in this deck because it has the ability to contribute a monster, target a red dragon archfiend monster in your grave, and special summon it, which is a great ability just to replace a monster on your field with a really powerful red dragon archfiend. We then play a single copy of Dispatter. Dispatter is so good in this deck because it's a walking negate. It can bring back one of your light or dark monsters, which is such a good ability about this card, and it's just a boss monster. We then play a single copy of Red Supernova. Supernova is really good in this deck because basically this card is just a board wipe on the field, which is such a good ability. You can banish it to be able to banish all the cards on your opponent controls, which is such a good effect, and then bring this card back during the end phase of your next turn, or during your next end phase, which is such a good ability about this card. We then finally play a single copy of King Calamity. King Calamity is such a powerful boss monster right now, especially since you can make this card during your opponent's turn using Intrude, which is just so crazy about this deck that you can make this card during your opponent's turn and essentially turn their entire turn off, which is crazy. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below. I absolutely love Red Dragon Archfiend. And definitely give this video a like if you guys love Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. I love all the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds decks, especially when they make structure decks like this that are just so good. And we finally have some amazing support for Jak Atlas. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad. And we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.